All right. What is up, everybody? Sorry, didn't realize we were live there. Hope you're all doing well tonight. Hope everyone's having a great Tuesday. Today, we're doing our Bellingham, Washington first time home buyer program. Don't make these costly mistakes. Real quick, while we wait for some people to come in to the group, do me a favor and go ahead and share in the chat, pull up that chat box, and tell me what it is you're looking for in a home. Looking for a 3-bed, 4-bed? You're looking for something in the city on acreage? Like, does it have to have a certain amenity, maybe like vaulted ceilings or like a pool? Which, I mean, let's be real, pools are kind of rare here in Washington, especially this time of year, but I do see them from time to time. So anyway, go ahead and pull that up, type that up in the comments. I do want to hear from you. And with that said, we'll go ahead and jump right into the home buyer class. So don't make these costly mistakes for first time home buyers. Honestly, I could have called this literally anything. Really, what this home buyer class is about is basically just how not to screw this up. Okay, like how to not screw up buying your next home. And it's really easy to do. In fact, I see most home buyers making most of these mistakes, and I don't want you to make those because I want you to be successful and save tens of thousands of dollars when it comes to buying your next home. So, um, I want this class to be interactive. So say hi in the chat, share what type of homes you're looking for, and stack up those questions up at the end so we can do our Q&A because I do want to answer all of your questions. So who is this for? Real quick, this is obviously for first-time home buyers. It's also for second-time home buyers and basically just anyone looking to buy a home right now. So it doesn't really matter where you are in your home buying journey. Honestly, a lot of the programs, especially the down payment programs, we're going to be talking about some of the first-time home buyer programs, but a lot of them actually apply to basically anyone looking to buy a home right now. So really, this is for anyone that's thinking about buying a home in the next year or two, or even the next couple of months or weeks. With that said, as a first-time home buyer, let me ask you this: do you ever feel like maybe you're like stressed out, or concerned, or intimidated, or anxious, or uncertain? Like I know I did, especially like when I first started buying a home, like or when I first bought a home. Actually, was it like 11 years ago? I definitely felt all those things, and it was really stressful. Um, well, I don't want you to feel that way because the goal of this whole program is for you to feel like this is easy. Okay. So, like, by the end of this class, we want you to feel like you're in control and at ease about getting your dream home. Um, and because you are in control, right? And it's really not that scary. It might seem really scary on the outside, but it's really, really not. Like, I want you and your spouse to be like, okay, Hugh, we got this. Like, this is going to be easy. We can get a home. This is within reality, and it's going to be something you're going to be able to do. So, real quick, who am I? My name is Tommy Muchler. For anyone that doesn't know who I am, and this is by no means is about me at all. It's just obviously I'm your host, and I want you to know that you are in good hands. I'm born and raised in Ferndale. Worked and lived in Bellingham and Linden and all around. And I've been selling real estate for about 10 years now. By the way, this is my beautiful wife, Amanda, and our little baby girl, Ellie Joe. And I could not be more excited to be a dad. I'm so excited. I love it. Absolutely love it. But real quick, I've been selling homes for about 10 years now. I helped hundreds and hundreds of home buyers and sellers, and you can see all the properties I've sold all over the place. And I've helped more clients than I could even remember. So, with that said, that's kind of who I am. And what I've learned in my 10 years of selling real estate or helping buyers is most home buyers screw these things up. Okay. And I don't want you to screw that up. I want you to be successful. I don't want you to um, coming into this thinking like, okay, like, can I get a home? Like, what if I mess it up? Like, that's not going to happen. It happens to a lot of people, but it's not going to happen to you because you are here today. Okay. So, first time home buyer mistakes. Based on the 10 years of doing this, I can tell you that 90% of first time home buyers end up buying the wrong house or in the wrong deal. And by the way, it's my job to help you see around the corners. And what I mean by see around the corners is making sure you're well prepared when it comes to buying your first home in Washington so you actually know what it is you're doing. Okay. So, mistake number one and this is a big one. It's kind of crazy. First-time home buyers don't take advantage of first-time home buyer programs. Wild. Okay, you think that would be the opposite, but no. A lot of a lot of buyers, I don't know why, they do not take advantage of first-time home buyer programs. And just so you know, a lot of first-time home buyer programs are is just marketing. A lot of them are just called down payment assistance programs. So they apply to people regardless if this is your first home, your second home, whether maybe you inherited a house, now you're buying a house because maybe you sold that. Like a lot of these apply to you, okay, or just to home buyers in general. But a lot of times we market them as first-time home buyer programs. So raise your hand if you like the idea of leaving tens and thousands of dollars on the table. Hopefully, you didn't raise your hand because that's obviously a ridiculous question. But I see people do it all the time. Like people are literally lighting piles of money on fire for no reason. And we don't want you to do that, obviously. So, what is a first time home buyer program? And many of these apply to second time or other types of home buyers as well. There's lots of different types of home buyer programs. So Washington State has the Washington State Housing Commission. I'm messing that up. It has a different name. I'm messing it up. And they have a lot of great programs. Now, there's a lot of different programs for different scenarios, different situations. Some are really good, some are not so good. And they really depend on quite a few factors. Like there's some that are specific to the location of the home. So there's one that's specific to Bellingham. Some depend on your income levels, which we'll talk about one of those. That's one of my favorites. We'll actually do an example here. Many require you to hang on to the home for a few years, or may have you invest, may have interest rates that are more favorable than the market. And some are just completely 100% financing, right? So there's lots of different types of programs out there, and we're going to be going over some of those examples. So the example here that I want to show with you right now, let's pretend we got this buyer right now, Maggie, and she wants to buy a $500,000 home. Now, obviously, that's going to be a stretch for some of you. You might be in the $400,000 range. Some of you might be buying a 600, 700, or even $1 million home. Okay, like the example is the same, or the math is the same. We're just going to be using this as an example right now. Okay, so she's going to use a conventional loan with 3% down. Okay, so that means the bank is going to give her 97% of the loan. She only has to bring 3% down, which is $15,000. By the way, who didn't realize they could buy a house, a $500,000 house with $15,000 down? Like I know a lot of people, I talk to a lot of people who think they still need 20% down in order to buy a home. That's no longer the case. Okay, so really cool stuff there. We have a conventional loan that's 3% down. And then there's something called closing costs. Now we're going to really dive into this here in mistake number 3. We're going to really dive into the numbers of what closing costs are. They do kind of vary a little bit depending on quite a few different factors. We'll dive into this, but they're roughly around 2%. Sometimes a little less, sometimes a little bit more. We'll just say between $9,000 and $12,000 for this estimate. So about 2% or about and when you compare that with the down payment, the conventional down payment, you're really looking at about 5% down. Okay, so about 5% down total. So if Maggie was going to buy a house, her total cost to buy a home without a first-time home buyer program, we're just talking about regular, right? So just buying a home without a first-time home buyer program, it's going to cost her between $15,000 and $25,000. Normally, I'd say it's $25,000, but oftentimes we can get sellers to pay these closing costs, which I will show you how here shortly. But we can usually get them to pay this cost for us. So that's why I put that $15,000 to $25,000. If the sellers weren't paying the closing costs, it's just 25 grand. Okay, so $15,000 for the down payment, and then about 2% for closing costs, which is about, we'll say, $10,000 roughly. So she would be spending about $25,000. Unless, of course, we got the sellers to pay our closing costs for us, which is very common in this market. It wasn't true 3, 4, 5 years ago, back when COVID was going crazy, but like right now, we can usually get this to happen. Okay, but what about the first-time homebuyer programs? Okay, this is really, really cool. Let's take a look at this. So, if Maggie were to use like the Washington State Home Advanced Down Payment Assistance, which is a second interest-free loan. Okay, so it's a second loan. She has the conventional loan, which is the with only 3% down. Washington State has a special program where they'll give you a second interest-free loan. that will cover 4 to 5%. It depends on a few different things, but around 4 to 5% of your down payment and your closing costs. Okay, so that means they will cover roughly $20,000 to $25,000 of your closing costs. Meaning, Maggie would only need about, honestly, like a few $100, like $750 to $1,500 to actually buy a house. And actually, it's technically zero, but once you factor in things like home inspection and appraisals, you're really looking at about $1,000, maybe $1,500. Okay, we didn't factor in the appraisal costs and the inspection costs in this. We will later, but really, honestly, you could buy a house for basically a few $100, maybe a couple $1,000 down with the Washington State Down Payment Assistance Program on a conventional loan. It also works on a FHA loan, which are really, really cool. Now, here's a quick legal disclaimer. Obviously, this is just an example, right? I'm not saying you're going to be able to buy a $500,000 house with only a few $100 out of pocket. Obviously, it depends on your income and your credit score and things like that. But we can definitely talk you through that moving forward. But there are two ugly facts that you need to know about. The first thing is big banks hate these programs. Okay, so your big banks, your credit unions, they don't like these first-time homebuyer programs. So if you go to them, they're probably going to want 20% down on a conventional loan. Some might do like the 3% down, like we just talked about in the first example. But almost none of them, and there's always an exception, right? Almost none of them are going to push these first-time homebuyer programs or these down payment assistance programs out at all. And the big reason is they don't make as much money on them, right? Like a lot of these banks they're there to make money, right? Like obviously, it's what they do. And it's just like they're really good at like checking book accounts and savings accounts and CDs and things like that, but they're not really invested on like the mortgage side. So a lot of them, they just don't have the experience, and it's not the juice isn't worth the squeeze to them because they're not making as much money, which is ridiculous. Now, don't worry, I obviously have a lender that I use, like and trust, that I can hook you up with, who does these down payment assistance programs, but a lot of the big banks do not do them. So just be aware of that. The second ugly truth that you need to be aware of is the seller's agent won't accept a big bank pre-approval letter. So every seller's agent, like listing agent, like the one listing the house, they're always going to tell their sellers, like, hey, don't accept an offer with that big box bank. Okay, don't accept it from that credit union. And the reason is somehow these big banks, they always screw it up. Okay, they always do. They screw it up. They delay closing. You'll have like moving trucks like outside ready to like dump stuff off at the house, and the bank's going to unnecessarily hold something up because this is not something they do every day. It's kind of like a little side project they do. And every single realtor has been screwed over by a big bank. The last one I did, we were supposed to close on a house in 30 days. It took us 180 days to close, which is insane. Okay, that's way too long. We had to do multiple extensions, and it was not fun at all. So every seller is going to reject your credit union or your big box bank pre-approval letter. You really want to go with a local, trusted lender. Okay, these are all they do is home loans, and that's the only thing they do. And they're going to have better access to those first-time home buyer programs that the big banks won't normally have. Okay, sound good? Mistake number two, buyers do the right thing, but they do it in the wrong order. Okay, so what do I mean by this? Let me use an analogy. That show, that the Great British Baking Show? My wife watches it all the time. And somehow I will walk by the TV and I'll get sucked in and I'll start watching it too. And they make it look so easy, right? Like they're baking all these cool fancy desserts and it looks so easy and fun. And I remember that my mom used to make this apple bread and it was so good. I love apple bread, and I thought I was going to make it. I'm like, I'm going to make this apple bread, and so I went out and I found a recipe that my mom gave me that she used, and then I bought all the ingredients and I threw it all in a bowl, and I turned on the KitchenAid and started mixing up all the ingredients. And then as I was reading the directions after it's already mixing, I didn't realize that you have to put certain things in at certain times. Like you have to mix like these dry ingredients and then these wet ingredients, and then you have to to mix it in, and then you have to like let it like rest or rise. Like kind of like how like if you like make bread, you got to let it rise for a few hours or a couple days before you can like put it in the oven, and you got to like proof it. It's like this whole complicated thing. I didn't do that. Okay, and I ended up making this apple cake, and I don't know if even like or apple bread, sorry. And I don't even know like if you'd even still like legally call this apple bread or not. It came out pretty awful. It was like dry and chalky. Like the ingredients were right, but I didn't follow the directions. I did things out of order, right? And and yes, it didn't taste that good, by the way. It tasted tasted really chalky. But I did things out of order, and that ruined the bread. So I did the right things. I just did it out of order, right? Same thing is true for buying a home. So we have our recipe for buying the house the wrong way. Um, a lot of people, and raise your hand if you've done this before. Like you start stalking Zillow, okay? Like you'll be looking at Zillow for 3 years, and then you start to disqualify yourself. Like you know what? Maybe these I can't afford these homes. They're not attainable. They're not for me. Like I want them. I want this type of house for my family, or I want to be in this school district, or I want to be in this neighborhood, or I want to be next to mom and dad, or whatever it may be, right? Or your friends, or your family, or anything like that. And you start to disqualify yourself because you think like maybe I can't afford these because you don't know because you aren't doing things in the right order. You get curious. Maybe like you'll call a few for sale signs. You'll walk into a builder model home or three. You'll talk to the salesperson to learn more. And maybe you'll visit a few open houses, talk to the listing agent. And eventually, what happens, and I see this all the time, is you finally get tired and you get discouraged and you just walk in and you just buy the next builder home or open house you see in a moment of weakness. You fall into their marketing machine and they just say the right thing at the right time. And then you just get sucked in and you end up buying this house that you don't actually like, that you don't actually want, that's not good for your family. It's not the neighborhood you wanted, doesn't have enough bedrooms, or it's not next to mom and dad or your sister or anything like that. And it's just not the right house. And you end up calling me, your realtor, a year later, and you end up selling it. I've seen it time and time again. And you're doing the right things. You're just doing it in the wrong order. And the right order is the first thing you need to do is you need to find a real estate agent you trust. Now we still have a lot more to talk about in this workshop today, but real quick for anyone that can't complete or stay until the end, like don't do this alone. Like you need a good realtor that you like, know, and trust, who's going to be able to walk you through all the steps to help you keep you on track, so you don't end up buying a house that you regret in a moment of weakness, right? So the first thing you got to do is you got to meet with me or a realtor that you trust. And you can go to soldbytommy.com/book if you want to book a 100% free consultation with me. It's just 30 minutes. We'll just map out your entire home buying journey, and we will figure out what it is you want in a home, what you actually need. We'll get you pre-approved with a local lender that is really, really good, that has your best interest at heart, and that can help you take advantage of these down payment assistance programs and these first-time home buyer programs and things like that. And we're going to help obviously get you the best deal possible and help honestly just buy a home that you don't regret. Okay. I don't want you buying something that you're going to regret in the future. Okay. So if you want to do that, go ahead and sign up right now. Otherwise, we'll jump into mistake number 3 that first time home buyers make is they get intimidated by the numbers and they don't look at them. Okay. This is a big one, a big mistake. And this is usually in the form of closing costs. Now we're going to talk about a lot of different things here, but usually closing costs is the big one. It's kind of like this big mysterious number. If you refer back to our Maggie example earlier, we were obviously referring to about how she had 2% in closing costs to buy this home, which is around $10,000. What is closing costs? Like what are these mystical numbers? Well, it's a few things. First up is most common is you're going to have title and escrow fees. Okay. The title company is this cool place where basically they go back and they have these records of who owned the land that you're buying, right? This land, right? And you have to buy something called title insurance. And the way this works is basically, they're issuing an insurance policy when you buy this home. It's not very much. It's like a couple $100. And basically that way, if anyone like some great grandson from Papa who died years ago, who was in the estate, and he's a 1/8 owner of the house that you bought, and he comes knocking on your door like, this is my land, get out of here. The title company's obviously going to take care of that for you. So that's a really cool thing that they do. Escrow, they cover a few things. They kind of like manage the transaction, make sure we record everything at the county. These fees are not very much. It could be, a few hundreds to $1,000, and things like that. Next up, you have lender fees. Now, lenders make their money in two different ways. They make their money off the interest rate. So when you buy a home, you'll probably have somewhere in the neighborhood of a 6% interest rate, depending on what the market is doing right now. You'll have around a 6% or more interest rate. And then that's how they make their money. But they also make money um, on fees. So when you buy a home, there's a chunk of fees that you got to pay. And that's how they make a good chunk of their money up front, plus the interest rate as well. And the way it works is usually the lower you see your interest rate, the higher your closing cost fees are, those lender fees. The lower your interest or your fee, those fees are, usually the slightly higher your interest rate's going to be. And I mean slightly. I mean like a quarter of a percent or 0.5% higher. Okay, slightly higher. It could be a little bit more. It could be a little bit less. Obviously, there's just estimates. Okay, so you kind of got to balance those things out. Rate buy downs are another one. Those actually kind of fall under lender fees. So again, you can buy your rate down, so you have higher lender fees when you're closing on a home, but then you have a lower interest rate, right? So they kind of balance each other out. HOA fees, these are kind of just a punch in the nose fees. They kind of stink. A lot of HOAs, not all of them, but a lot will have like a transfer fee or like a signing up fee. Like here's a $400 punch on the nose fee that you got to pay when you move into the neighborhood. Welcome to the neighborhood. You owe me $400, something like that. Kind of ridiculous. But a lot of HOAs do it. Not all of them. They're kind of hit or miss. I'll see about half the homes. About half the homes are in an HOA. It really depends on where you are. Out in the county, it's really rare for you to see an HOA anywhere. But inside is where you inside the city is usually where you see HOAs, but not every neighborhood. The next type of fees depend on the loan. Okay, so we have like our VA fees. So if you're a vet, you're in the military, you qualify for a VA loan. There are obviously usually these are zero down loans, right? But there's usually like a one-time funding fee that you got to pay. I think it depends on the lender. I think it depends on a few different criteria. So don't quote me on this, but it's usually around like I think like 1.5% or 1% of the loan amount. And I believe that's usually rolled into the loan, or you can pay it up front. So just be aware of that. I'm not a mortgage lender, so don't quote me on that exactly, but that fee is there. Sometimes you can pay it right away, sometimes you pay it later. And then upfront mortgage insurance. So this is with FHA loans. I'm a big fan of conventional loans, which we kind of talked about earlier in our example. FHA loans are great. They let you do 3.5% down if you have bad credit, which is a really cool thing. A conventional loan, usually you need better credit and it's 3% down. So if you have good credit, you'll probably be conventional. If you're not great credit, you might be FHA. So just be aware of that. And they do have a upfront mortgage insurance that you got to pay in the form of your closing costs. Okay. Some other fees that you see in closing costs. Yes, it still continues. It doesn't stop. Is we have our mandatory. We have our prepaid taxes. Okay. So like when you own home, you got to pay property taxes. Those are due twice a year. I believe they're due in April, and I think is it August? No, it's not August. It's October or November. I think it's no. I think it's November is when they're due the second time. So they're due twice a year. And then there's obviously homeowner insurance as well, and you have to prepay those. So right, so like you have to prepay them for the year, or like a certain amount for the year. Okay, so and those kind of vary depending on what your homeowner's insurance is, what your property taxes are, and when you buy the house, because those are due twice a year. Now, the nice thing about these, just so you are aware, you pay them into your mortgage, and then the mortgage company is going to pay those taxes and that homeowner's insurance for you. So it's not like you have to cough up, $4,000 a year to pay your property taxes. It's taken out slowly by the mortgage company to pay those on your behalf. Okay, so you'll get a bill in the mail and it'll scare you and be like, Tommy, why do I owe $2,000 right now in April for my house? Like, what's going on? It's like, okay, don't worry. Like, you prepaid for it, and you've been paying for it with your mortgage payments. Like, don't worry, you're covered. Your mortgage company paid that for you. So you don't need to worry about it. You just get the bill because that's what the government does. They send you bills because why wouldn't they tax you for more money? Right, Washington? Right? You and your freaking 9.9% millionaires tax. Jeez Louise. Give me a break. So bad news. If you haven't noticed, closing costs are expensive, very expensive, obviously. So we kind of gave that 2% number, like we said earlier. So if you're buying a $500,000 house, expect your closing costs to be around 2%. They could be a little bit more, a little bit less. Um, which 2% on a $500,000 house is $10,000 that you need to bring up to the closing table in addition to your down payment, unless of course you're getting down payment assistance, right? Um, Not fun. It stinks. But I got some good news. We can usually get the sellers to pay these for us on our behalf. Now, this was not true back in the COVID era, but now you can usually get the sellers to pay these for you, which is really, really cool. So, for example, in our example with Maggie buying her $500,000 house, she had that $15,000 that she needed to for the down payment, that 3%, right? But if we're using that down payment assistance program to pay that, she can also then use the seller to pay her closing costs, which is like $10,000. Now there's a limit; it's about 10 grand, or sorry, it's about 3% on conventional. It does depend on the loan program, the limits, but we can usually get the sellers to pay that for us, which is really, really cool. Now that might not be the case once the market picks back up. So once rates come down, the market picks up, which is going to happen soon. That might go away, but for right now, you can usually get the seller to pay those closing costs for you. The next set of numbers you need to know is the monthly payment. Okay, obviously this is really important. Like at the end of the day, like it's all about the monthly payment. Like nothing else matters except the monthly payment. Can you pay your mortgage every single month? Right? Like the purchase price, like obviously it matters. Like we want to get the best deal possible, right? But like at the end of the day, it's can you afford the monthly payments? That's all that matters. Now, there's this really funny thing about Washington state taxes. Um, don't fully get it, but the property taxes are one of the biggest factors that affect your monthly payment. So, for example, you can live in this house. Let's say for argument's sake, this house is a lot nicer, right? This house, um, or they could be the exact same house. They could be the exact same house, actually. Let's just pretend they're the exact same house, but they're in two different neighborhoods, two different subdivisions, two different areas. This one could have property taxes that are literally half. So they could be like 2,500 bucks a year, and this one could be literally like 5 grand a year. And this could also have a lower insurance because like maybe it's closer to like a fire hydrant or for whatever reason. Whereas this one's going to have higher I say property. I think I meant insurance, home insurance. So this could have less home insurance, and this one could have higher home insurance. Again, it's totally wild. Um, but you can actually have a more expensive house. Like let's just pretend this could be more expensive, like purchase price wise, but your monthly payment could literally be less, which is wild. Okay, your monthly payment could literally be less, and that happens all the time. Okay, so like be aware, like just because you see this nice house that costs more money doesn't mean it's going to cost you more money. So just be aware about that because everything that matters, the only thing that matters is your monthly payment and whether or not you can afford that home comfortably, right? Credit reporting 101. Who's gut just sank when I brought this up? I know, like this is how I feel. Like talk about like credit reporting. Unless you have like an 800 credit score and you're bragging about it, like it's a Costco membership, you're probably you're probably like this guy. You're like, oh, I don't know if I really want to look at my credit score. I don't know if I want to talk about it. I don't want to like think about it because like I missed like a medical bill like once 5 years ago, and I'm scared that I'm like 500 or something like that. Look, here's the thing. If you're concerned about your credit score, like relax, take a deep breath. It's going to be okay. Like we've got you. It's going to be fine. Okay. There's some things you need to know about credit. We're going to walk you through it. We're going to help you with it. Obviously, if you have good credit, great, awesome. That's going to help you out. But if you have moderate credit or you're unsure, like we're going to help you through it. So first takeaway when it comes to like your credit that I think is really important regarding knowing your numbers. Obviously, the higher your credit score is, the better interest rate you're going to get, which is a lower monthly payment, right? And then obviously just qualifying, right? If you have a really bad low credit, you're obviously not going to qualify for a loan. And then the better your credit is, the lower your monthly payment will be, which is obviously a really good thing. So the first takeaway with credit and this is really important, is do not allow a lender, again, that's why we don't want to use a big box bank because they don't really care about you. You're just another number, a cog in the machine, if you will. Do not allow anyone to take out a hard pull on your credit. This can knock your credit by a few points, which can hurt your credit, right? So if you're at like one of the limits, so like I think 720 is like the max. If you're like right at 720, you're going to get the best interest rate. And if they do a hard credit pull and they pull you down to 715, it only stays there for like a month, by the way, then it will go back up. That can pull you into that lower credit bracket, which can hurt you getting a loan, right? So when you work with a lender, what you need to do is you need to do a soft pull, okay? And lenders don't like this because it costs them money. My guy doesn't care. The lender I use, he doesn't. They don't care about that. They'll do a soft pull even if it costs them more money. But a lot of the big banks won't because they don't want to be spending that money on that on those soft pulls when they could do a hard pull for free, right? So don't let them do a hard pull on your credit. Only do soft pulls. Eventually, you'll need to do a hard pull when you do the loan, but that's when you're much further along. What we want to do right now is we want to have you meet with the lender to talk about your situation. If you don't have good credit, if you have good credit, great, don't worry about it. Because this is kind of weird. So, like the second takeaway, like they're going to help you build a strategy and plan around how to fix and repair your credit so you can qualify for the lowest possible interest rate. So you can pay the least amount of money. Okay, they'll come up with a plan for you. And this is kind of weird. Like with our second take, like you don't want to be a hero. Like you don't want to be paying off if you have like a bunch of like debt, like old debts, like maybe there's like an old medical bill you didn't pay off fully, and they sold it to a credit a debt collector, like things like that. Like, and you okay, I want to buy a house. I should probably pay these off to fix my credit. Like that might not be the bad thing. I know that sounds counterintuitive, but like you might not want to be paying those off right away. You really need to talk to a local lender because they have the software, this computer that can take all your information and tell you what you need to do. Like, okay, hey, pay this off, but don't pay this off. Fix this, don't worry about that. And they're going to tell you what you need to do to get your credit in the best shape possible, both in the short term and the long term when it comes to affording a house. Okay, so it's really, really important that you don't be a hero. Don't start paying off all your old debts right away. Talk to a good lender first about the goals. Again, if you schedule a call with me at soldbytommy.com/book, I can connect you with our preferred lender who will walk you through all this stuff and obviously help you take advantage of those down payment assistance programs. So the next thing we need to talk about when it comes to not knowing the numbers is the 5 steps of buying a home and all the costs involved. Okay, obviously we've done a few examples already with Maggie talking about how she can buy a $500,000 house with very little money down, but I want to break down all the costs associated with buying a home right now. Sound fair? Good. So, step number 1 is you need to meet with my team. Okay, you need a good realtor. You need one. Okay, even if it's not me, you need a good realtor that you like, know, and trust. And you need to get pre-approved with a lender. Okay. So when you work with me and my team, obviously we're going to help you find the perfect home, right? Not a home that you're going to regret, but it's going to be the best home for you and your family. We're going to help you get pre-approved, taking advantage of all the Washington State first-time home buyer programs, whether or not you're a first-time home buyer or not, we're going to help you take advantage of them. And we're going to work with you as long as it's going to take, and we're going to negotiate the best deal, and we're going to help you every step of the way. Again, if you want to work with my team, you can go to soldbytommy.com/book. Biggest question I get is, okay, cool, but how much does it cost to work with you and your team? Great news for you. It's completely free. I love this meme. It's completely free. Like we don't charge you anything. Okay. It doesn't matter if like we're working with you for years. Like I've had clients that we've looked at houses for 2 to 3 years and it's still free. Doesn't cost you anything. Okay. I'm going to help you out every single step of the way. I only get paid after you get the keys in your hand. Okay. And again, that's a cost that's usually covered by the sellers. Okay. So it doesn't cost you anything. Again, it's wrapped up into those closing costs that we talked about earlier. So again, you don't have to worry about any of it. We're here to help you every step of the way. Okay, so go to soldbytommy.com/book and book a free consultation because it's completely free. Completely free for me to help you on your home buying journey. Again, I only get paid after the home closes, and it's usually by the seller. Step number 2. we've gone out, you've hired me as your realtor, we've looked out, we found all your dream, we found a dream home, and we wrote an offer. Now, step two, we're under contract. This is the first time you're actually going to be writing a check. So what we're going to do is we're going to open up our escrow account. They're going to take all the paperwork that we filled out, like the offer that we filled out. They're going to collect information from the lender, and you're going to need to deliver something called earnest money. Now, earnest money is like a security deposit. Okay, so it's basically saying like, hey, I promise to buy your house and not disappear to Cancun and not, close in 30 days. So it's basically saying, I promise to buy your house and close in 30 days. There's a couple exceptions, don't worry. And as long as we close on this house in time, I get that security deposit back, that earnest money back. And then if you were to like back out, well, we'll talk about it later. You get that money back. It's very hard for you to lose it, but basically it's just a security deposit is what it is. A security deposit or earnest money is what we call it. It's usually about 1% of the purchase price. Although I've seen it as low as $1,000, just as $1,000. Okay. And this is a check you need to write once the people accept an offer in your house. Again, the amount, whether it's 1%, which is like 5 grand, in our example, our $500,000 example is like 5 grand. That money is due within 2 days of the sellers accepting your offer. Okay, so once we're pending, sellers accept your offer, that's when this earnest money is due. Again, it could be as low as $1,000, but it's usually around 1% of the purchase price. Again, it's one of those negotiating things that we can use to get yourself a better deal. Maybe we want to offer a little bit more earnest money, which you get back, right? You get it back at closing, in order to maybe get some like a better deal on the price or something like that, right? So it's just one of those things that helps you in your favor. But don't worry, I promise you get it back. Obviously, you get it back as a credit towards your down payment during your closing. So let's just say your closing costs were a grand total, all closing costs, your down payment, everything is about $10,000, and you put down $5,000 earnest money. That means you need to bring another $5,000 to the closing table to pay the remaining balance when you move forward with the house. You will also get your earnest money back if you were to cancel the contract due to failing the inspection. So let's just say we do our home inspection and you decide not to move forward with the home. You get that earnest money back. You also get it back if you were unable to attain a loan. Let's just say like you lost your job, something like that, like you no longer qualify for a loan. You would get your earnest money back. Okay. So it's really hard to lose your earnest money. It's basically just a promise to the seller that you're not going to disappear and go to Hawaii for 3 weeks and not sign the closing papers in 30 days. Okay. Makes sense. So that's the first time you're writing a check in this entire home buying process. Step 3 is do a home inspection. Okay. So we found the home that we like. We made our offer, got it accepted. We delivered our earnest money, and now we need to do our home inspection. You usually have about 10 days to do a home inspection, although the time can vary in very competitive markets. Sometimes sellers or buyers will negotiate like a 3-day home inspection or a 1-day home inspection, obviously if the home inspector is available to accommodate those short notices. But a lot of times, most of the times, you'll have a 10-day inspection window, although it can be negotiated. And this is for you to go out and do your due diligence on inspecting the home. Now, this generally costs around $500 to $600 for a general home inspection, and that's money that's out of your pocket. Now, you can hire any home inspector you want. I have a list of people that I recommend that I like, know, and trust. I don't get any kickbacks. Obviously, every realtor has one, of home inspectors that just do a really good job. And you can use one of them or use your own guy. And again, it's going to be on $500 to $600, usually depending on the size of the home and the inspector that you use. So then once we do our home inspection, we're going to do something called a home inspection response. Okay. We have 3 options. Basically, you can cancel the contract. Now, you don't have to cancel the contract because you failed the home inspection. There's no pass or fail on a home inspection. Every single home inspection is going to fails because there's something wrong with every single house, right? Like I've only seen one time a home pass with a perfect home inspection. Okay. And it was immaculate. Okay. Like this person took care of their stuff. Okay. And that's hundreds of homes sold. I've only seen it once. Otherwise, I've never seen a home not have something wrong with it, especially new builds. Every new build has tons of problems with it. It's wild because they're brand new. But you can cancel the home for any reason within that 10-day inspection window. Obviously, if you have a shorter inspection window, maybe like 5 days or 7 days, just be aware it's going to be less. So you'll have a shorter window, but you can cancel the contract for any reason. More likely though, you're probably gonna ask for repairs. So if it's like, hey, the roof is leaking, fix that, or there's a leaky pipe under the sink, like fix that. You can ask for those repairs. However, my personal favorite is ask for more closing cost credits or for them to buy down your interest rate. This is way cooler because oftentimes what you're going to see is, okay, the sink is leaking. Okay, we can go pay a plumber $500 to fix it, or you could watch a YouTube video, fix it yourself or a $20 Home Depot trip and convince the seller to give you that $500 credit that they would have paid the plumber for to just give that money to you or towards your closing costs. So you have to bring less money to the table. So you're basically just putting more money in your pocket, right? When I bought this house, and I do this with all my sellers, I mean, all my buyers I work with, we usually do something like this. But when I bought this house, I got my home inspection report. I knew everything that needed to be fixed. It wasn't that big of a deal. It was going to cost me maybe like $200 out of pocket. It was a long list of things, right? But it wasn't going to cost me much other than it was mostly sweat labor, right? It's going to take me like 10 hours to do all the work and a $200 Home Depot trip. I got the seller to give me $17,000 in closing costs towards my mortgage, right? Like, or towards my down payment. That was $17,000 less that I had to bring to the closing table to buy the house. So I ended up buying the house with very, very, very little money down, um, which is awesome. And you could do that too. And that's what I usually recommend people do, because oftentimes your husband can fix this, or a dad, or a friend. Maybe you have some plumber friends that can do it, or something like that. And you never know what it is. Oftentimes it's really easy. And worst case, obviously, you could just have them fix it. Sometimes we'll do both. We did one recently where we got a brand new roof, which was crazy. We got a brand new roof. It was like 20 grand. And we got some credits as well. So sometimes you could do both. Usually it's one or the other, but sometimes in rare cases you can get both. Okay, so step number 4, we did our home inspection. We negotiated some more credits down, so you have to pay even less towards your down payment, which is awesome. The bank is going to want you to do a home appraisal. Okay. Now, a home appraisal is basically the bank's eyes and ears. They're going to come out. They're going to ask you to pay for it. It's usually between like $800 and $1,000. It's something you got to pay out of pocket, kind of like a home inspection. You don't get the money back, obviously, but this person will come out and they'll make sure the bank is giving you a fair amount. Like the bank does not want you overpaying for this house. In fact, the bank will not let you overpay for this house. And if you want to overpay for this house, you have to come up with that money in the form of a bigger down payment. Okay. So the bank, this is like the bank doing their due diligence to make sure you're getting a good deal. This is not a home inspection, right? It's just the bank coming out to make sure that this is a good investment for the bank. Okay. So that's what this is. You got to pay it. And then, by the way, after this time period, because we'll usually do like a 30-day close on a house. So you'll have 30 days to do your inspection, the appraisal, all the paperwork, things like that. After this period, everyone kind of goes dark for a while, which is kind of scary because you're like, I haven't heard anything from anyone. Like, what's going on? Everything's normal. It's the bank's doing their due diligence on the background. They're reviewing your file. They're looking at all the numbers. They're crunching all the numbers, and they're making sure everything is going well. So you kind of do a lot of this work up front, your home inspection, negotiation. You find the house, and then like there's like 2 to 3 weeks of like nothing. Okay. So that's normal. Just be aware of that. Don't be surprised by that. But if you're keeping tally, that means you spent $1,000 on earnest money, maybe more. We'll just guess $1,000. You spent $500 on a home inspection, right? So we're up to $1,500. But the $1,000 earnest money you get back, so it doesn't really count. And then you spent, let's just say, $800 on your appraisal. So if you don't count the earnest money because you get that back, you're out $1,300 right now. For this home, for buying this home. Okay. So $1,300 so far. Step 5, the house is yours. So now that we've done our home inspection, we've done the appraisal, the bank signed off and everything, you're approved to get the home. You're going to go to the title and escrow company, and you're going to sign a big, thick stack of paper, which is about 1 inch thick. It's going to take you like a half hour to an hour, depending on how many questions you have, which you should ask all the questions. A really nice escrow agent is going to go through everything with you, and they're just going to have you sign a bunch of things. Your hand's going to be sore from all the signing, and it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be really exciting, and you're gonna have to bring a check. Okay, you're gonna have to bring a check for the remaining closing costs and down payment. So again, if the seller is paying your closing costs and or the state, you're doing one of these down payment assistance programs like the one we talked about earlier, which is fantastic. I love it. It's great. Um, you might not need to bring anything to down payment wise to pay for your home. But oftentimes you will need to bring a few $1,000s or maybe even 20, $25,000, depending on your unique situation. Obviously, some people like to put more money down, right? If you're putting 10% down or 20% down, this is where you're going to bring that 20% down at the end here. So they're going to take that check, they're going to cash it and take and distribute those funds for you accordingly. Okay. So that's what you need to bring this check. And it can just be a cashier's check or you can wire the money. It's up to you on what you want to do. But then then the bank is going to, or it's not the bank, the escrow company is going to take all that money and the signed paperwork. The seller's going to sign paperwork as well. You won't meet, but they'll sign paperwork at a different time. I'm going to get the keys and hold on to them for you. And then the seller or the escrow company is going to take everything. They're going to go to the courthouse, the county courthouse, and they're going to record everything at the courthouse. So it's all official. And then you will be a brand new homeowner once that's done. So once they go to the courthouse, get everything filed away, you'll be a brand new homeowner. I will be able to give you your keys and congratulations, you own your first home. And you only had to bring, honestly, not that much money, a few $1,000s. Heck, if you put enough earnest money down, you might actually get a check back. Funny story. A house that I bought before, I actually got a check back for $1. Somehow I overpaid by $1. So you could theoretically get a check back when buying a house. It does happen sometimes, but those are the 5 steps and costs into buying a home. So a lot of great stuff. Now, mistake number 4 I see people make is they don't hire a gladiator. Now, this is going to sound really corny, but I really believe in it. I think it's really, really true. A lot of people think realtors are just overpaid door openers, and I get it. Like, this HGTV makes it sound all cool, right? Like you're driving a cool car with cool sunglasses, and this realtor just comes up and is pointing to crown molding everywhere. It's really not like that. Like honestly, like looking at houses, unlocking doors is like less than 2% of what I do as a real estate agent. Like obviously, any idiot can do that. My job as an agent is not just to show you homes. My job is to fight for you as a buyer to get the best deal. It's to protect you from real harm. And it sounds kind of corny and silly, but it's true. Like a lot in Washington State, real estate brokers, we're called, I know people call us real estate agents or realtors, but our technical legal name is real estate brokers. And we have what we call limited law licenses. So we're just a step below attorneys. Okay, so lawyers, we're just a step below them. And that's because we have to have your best legal interests at heart. Okay, we are literally fighting for you legally to get you the best deal possible on one of the largest, if not the largest, financial decisions of your life. Okay, it's kind of like getting sued for $500,000 and not hiring a lawyer, right? Like, obviously, you want a gladiator, you want a fighter, you want a negotiator, someone who's going to represent you and have your best interests at heart to make you sure you get the best deal. And not just go with some random guy at an open house who works for the seller, because I can tell you right now, they're legally required to get the seller the better deal, not you. It's huge. My goal as a gladiator is I want to put more equity in your pocket faster by finding you the best deal in the best neighborhoods so you can retire early. Like, this is really important to me. Okay, guys? Like, I want you to get a good deal. I want you to build equity faster than anyone else. Okay? Seriously. I want to help you build generational wealth by becoming a homeowner. That's one of the best ways to do it. Dave Ramsey, the guy who doesn't believe in debt at all, with the exception of mortgages, will tell you buying a home is one of the best, fastest, and easiest ways to build generational wealth and retire. It's huge, guys. I want you to put your kids in better schools and better homes than you put yourselves in. And maybe you had a great school and you had a great home, and that's awesome, right? But not everyone did. And I want you to be in a better position or I want your kids to be in a better position than you were, right? Like, don't you want that? I also selfishly want to become I want you to become a raving fan of me. So I do, because when I do such a good job, I want you to tell all your friends and family about how good your realtor is, me, that they fire their real estate agent to hire me. Okay. And I want you to experience the dream of homeownership. I think that's really, really important, right? I mean, it is the American dream is what they say, and it's really, really, really is, right? In a lot of ways, it really is freedom to have this home that you can modify and do whatever you want with and raise your family instead of some rental where you're just paying the landlord's mortgage off. You're instead paying your own mortgage off and building that generational wealth, that equity, right? That's huge. What do I do differently compared to everyone else? When someone says it's impossible, I don't believe them. I've made so many miracles happen for my clients, and I want to do the same thing for you. Like, there's been times where like a lender said, "That's just not possible. You can't make that work." Well, guess what? We're going to find a different lender, and we're going to make it work. Okay. If we're going to call in favors when there's like no houses for sale, there's a good amount of houses for sale, but if like we can't find the one that you're looking for, I'm going to call in favors. I'm going to go out hunting and looking for houses that are off the market to find you one that fits and meets your needs. Okay, we're going to do that. Absolutely. We're also going to negotiate hard, really hard. It's one of the things I pride myself in is negotiating. I'm really, really good at it. I saved my clients collectively millions and millions of dollars. I just closed the most recent home I just helped a buyer obtain. We saved $37,000. I put $37,000 in their pocket. Okay, it was huge. Okay, that's huge. Like, what would you do with an extra $37,000? I know what I would do, right? Like, I'd pay off my truck loan. Is what I would do. But that's what I would do with it. Like, that's huge. Like, you would want an extra $37,000. And here's the thing: negotiating it gets really hard. It gets really hard, and we're going to do it anyway. Okay, we're going to do it anyway. We're going to keep more money in your pocket so you never overpay. Okay, like the last thing I want is for you to overpay. And you're not going to when you work with me. Okay, I promise you, I'm going to get you the best deal anyone could possibly get. Okay, and we're going to consume copious amounts of caffeines until we find you the perfect home. Again, whether it takes 7 days or 7 years, I'm going to work for you for free until we can actually find the home that you want to buy. Okay, and and as your this is ridiculous. I'm sorry. I can't help this stupid AI photo. It's ridiculous. But as your realtor, we're gonna do all the heavy lifting for you. Like, I really believe that. Like, we're gonna do everything for you. So basically you can just sit back, relax, and take the keys to your new home. I'm not gonna help you move. Sorry. Uh you have to find a mover, but all the paperwork, all the negotiating, all the navigating, all the things like that, I'm gonna do that for you. And maybe after a while I'll eventually look like AI Tommy. But we're going to do all the heavy lifting for you so you don't have to worry about a thing. All right. Now, quick question: who feels like this guy right now? I feel like this guy, and I was the one teaching the class. Okay. I feel like there's just I took a fire hose to my mouth and just drowning in information. Um, but let me ask you a serious question. Do you feel less stressed now that we've been through this workshop today, we've gone over all these things. Do you feel less concerned or less intimidated or less anxious or less uncertain about the process of buying a home? Hopefully you said yes to all these things because we went over a lot of things of how you could buy a house the easy way without of making the most common mistakes that everyone else makes. Let me ask you, and put the yes in the chat if you can. Was this a good use of an hour on Tuesday night? Yes. Awesome. Do you feel confident in your ability to avoid the biggest mistakes that home buyers make? Yes, put yes in the chat if you feel that way. Do you want to know exactly what you should do next when it comes to finding your dream home? Yes, put yes in the chat. Well, I'll tell you what it is. Your job is I want you to tell me what, excuse me, tell me what do you really want in a home? And I want you to dream big, okay? I want you to you know paint the white picket fence. If it's out of your means, I don't care. Like, don't hold back. Just tell me everything you want in a home, okay? Like, don't worry about how it's going to happen. Like, let me worry about how to get you that, okay? Like, I'm not saying it's going to be perfect, but I want to know what it is you want in your dream home. How many bedrooms? How big is the yard? Do you want chickens? Do you want goats? Like, what do you want in a home? Do you want to live in Bellingham? Do you want to live in a condo? Like, what do you want? Tell me. I want you to tell me it, and I want you to book a consultation with us. It's completely free. We're going and we'll go over everything. We'll go over all your home goals, your unique situation, because I know you're in a unique situation because everyone is unique when it comes to buying a home. And we'll map out your entire journey. Okay, we'll sit down. We'll hop on a Zoom call. We'll spend 30 minutes. We'll map out your entire home goals journey, all your goals, and we'll do everything we can so you don't get ripped off and stuck in the wrong place. Okay. We're going to help you find the right house. We're going to help you get pre approved with a lender and take advantage of these down payment assistant programs, AKA the first time homebuyer programs, whether or not you're a first time home buyer or not. And we're going to work with you as long as it takes. Okay. Like, again, I don't care if it takes 7 days or 7 years. Like, I'm going to work with you every step of the way. Okay. We're going to negotiate the best deal possible. And again, we're going to do all the heavy lifting for you. Okay. So go to soldbytommy.com/book, book a free consultation. It's totally free, doesn't cost you anything. Again, my fee is paid for in those closing costs that we talked about earlier. It's usually paid for by the sellers. Like 99% of the time, it's going to be paid for by the sellers. Okay. So like it's all free to you. Go ahead and book that call. If anyone has any questions, please ask them. Hopefully you don't have any questions because I try really hard to pack so much information in this workshop that you don't need to ask any questions. All right. But with that said, go ahead and book your free consultation at soldbytommy.com. Again, we'll map out that perfect plan for you for your home buying journey so you don't get ripped off or stuck in the wrong place. I can only work with so many people at a time. Right now, I only got 6 spots available. Those spots only open up as people buy homes because I can only work with so many people at a time. So yeah, and don't feel bad like if you're like a year out or 2 years out, like that's totally fine. Like book a consultation anyway. I'd love to get to know you and help set you up for success, even if you're buying in the next year or 2 or 3. Like it's never too early just to start planning. In fact, it's really smart. So go ahead, sign up right now for your free consultation at soldbytommy.com/book. Otherwise, I will see you in the next one.